Most people are still asking the wrong question about real estate in 2026. They're asking, is now a good time to buy? When in reality, they should be asking, where does it make sense to buy in 2026? In this video, I'm going to break down 3 different neighborhoods of the Greater Montreal area where I believe it currently makes sense to invest your funds. The main driver behind this is either price corrections in the last couple of months, rent appreciation, or simply future value that we see really coming into an area due to the REM or other factors of that nature. Now, this video is especially important for first-time buyers, whether you're looking to own or occupy a property or as an investor. Both cases are going to work super well for this. Finally, this is entirely based on what I'm seeing on Centris right now and my experience in the real estate marketplace. This is not a guarantee in any way, shape, or form, but it is going to help walk you through different options. Don't forget that every single deal does need to be individually underwritten, and if you do need help with that, feel free to book a meeting with me. It would be my pleasure to walk you through whatever investment you're currently looking at. You can book that meeting with the link in the description down below. When I talk about opportunity in 2026, I'm not talking about timing the bottom. I'm looking for 3 things. First, prices that have stopped running ahead of the fundamentals. Second, rents that help stabilize ownership costs. And third, demand that is structural, not speculative. At the end of the day, what we're looking for is something that actually makes sense as opposed to all the noise that we're hearing in the market. We're really focusing on signal instead of noise. It's all about reducing regret in 5 or 10 years down the road. In order to do so, I'm going to focus on 3 neighborhoods of Montreal, or at least the Greater Montreal area. The first neighborhood is going to be over here, the Saint-Laurent area, or Ville Saint-Laurent. The second area we're going to look at is the southern Laval. So we're looking at Chomedey, we're looking at Laval-des-Rapides. There's a lot of good things happening there for multiple reasons. And finally, we're going to focus on the Vieux-Longueuil and St-Hubert region. Again, I'm going to get down and break down why these regions make sense to me in the next couple of minutes. The first area I want to talk about is Ville Saint-Laurent, like I mentioned, and specifically some of the older condos that we see. So here I'm filtering in Ville Saint-Laurent, divided condominiums, at least 2 bedrooms, under $550,000. And I've maxed out condo fees at $4,200 a year or $350 a month. So if I check out the results, I've got a bunch of different options. Let's look at this one on Ouimet, for example. So we're looking at 1,005 square feet. It's on the first floor. Cycle through the photos. A little bit of an older building, but definitely has some character to it. Seems to be in pretty good condition overall. This property has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a garage included in the price. And this is available right now for $550,000. Now let's take a look at something a little bit less expensive. Let's say, how about Ernest Hemingway over here? So now we're looking at a building built in 2006, $500,000 over here, 846 square feet, so a little bit smaller. This one's 2 bedrooms, 1+1 bathrooms, and this one has 2 garages actually, so that's super interesting. Taxes about $3,400 and condo fees at $340. Okay, gives us a little bit of idea. And bring it over to the $450. What can we get at $450? Let's check on Cavendish. So this is 1990s. Now that we're in an older building. Condo fees are still under control at $345. Taxes are at $2,800. 2 bedrooms, 1+1 bath seems to be the go-to. 916 square feet. 1 garage in this one. Let's cycle through some of these photos. Definitely a little bit older. We got parquet flooring, older kitchen. Again, it screams 90s, but nevertheless, it's in overall pretty good condition, good square footage, good value from what we're seeing here. Now, what is this rent for becomes the question. So let's take a quick look. I already pulled some of these up for us. So here I've gone 800 to 1,200 square feet in terms of living stays rented in the last 12 months in the Ville Saint-Laurent area. So obviously there's some really expensive ones, but let's go back to a little bit older. This one seems to be comparable, 1,050 square feet on Cavendish. This building actually seems to be pretty new. So let's take a look at the next one possibly. Okay, this one on Cavendish. This rented for $2,620 a month. It's 1,100 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. A lot of the units that we just saw were 1+1 bathrooms and 2 garages. So we did have one that was actually quite similar to this in the list that we were looking at before. And this rented for $2,620. So a really good rental value, especially when we compare it to a unit that was listed for $500,000 comparatively on the purchase price. Let's look at something else, maybe over here, Saint-Germain. So this is actually a triplex, and this property was completely renovated on the inside. You'll see the layout is that we've got going on here. So it was rented out. This was actually a basement unit, fully renovated, and this rented for $2,400. basement unit. Again, this was a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, and 1 driveway spot, so no garage even on this. So we're getting some really good rental values, and Ville Saint-Laurent is known for this primarily because you've got access to the CEGEPs, you've got access to Côte-Vertu Metro, you've got access to the REM. You're very accessible. It really is the center of the city, so you've got a lot of value coming through that way. Now let's take a quick look at what's available on the multiplex side, because small multiplexes are also super interesting in Ville Saint-Laurent. So let's go duplex, triplex, 4-plex, residential only. Focusing on Montreal, and then again, let's go to Saint Laurent over here and let's see what's available for under 1.2 million. 23 options, and I like to look for things that at least have 2 bedrooms in the main unit. So we hit results. All right, and if we sort by price, just to kind of see both extremes of it, we've got some duplexes in the $639,000 range, and we've got a 4-plex at $1.2 million. Let's see if there's any triplexes in the mix. Let's see the least expensive triplex we have over here, $990. And what does this present us? So it seems pretty well located. Okay, decent size, decent footprint. It seems to have some updates and upgrades along the way. A back property as well. So I guess you have a duplex and then kind of a back unit for the third. Interesting layout. But overall, seems to be pretty clean. The basement is not at all finished, so maybe there's future value that you can do there. Currently, owner-occupant, month to month, month to month. So again, a lot of opportunity in terms of increase in valuations on here. And let's look at maybe another triplex here on Dutrisac. So this is a triplex. This has 2 5.5s and an 8.5, so very well positioned. 2175, 835, 700. Now, why this is a 5.5 with 1 bedroom, we'd have to see if we can update that layout a little bit. Same idea over here. Maybe they are 3.5s, maybe that'll have an impact on our valuation. And again, this 3-bedroom should probably rent for a little bit more, especially because we have 2 garages, so there should be an opportunity to rent the garages with it as well. As it stands right now, you're looking at $44,000 a year in revenue, and they're asking $997. So to be seen in terms of the upside potential. They're currently a little bit high as far as I'm concerned, and their gross income multiplier, they're at 22 times. I'd like to see that a lot closer to 18, to be honest, but it does seem like the units are currently a little bit under rented. So it gives you an idea of what's available in Ville Saint-Laurent. And again, there's so much upside to the neighborhood because it's the center of Montreal. You can go to the West Island, you can go to the East End, you can go downtown, you can go north to Laval, you can really get onto anywhere. You've got access to the Carry, the Metro, whether it's du Collège or Côte-Vertu. So just a lot of things going for it on that front. Now, let's head on over to Laval. Let's look at specifically Chomedey and Laval-des-Rapides. I like these 2 areas because they have really good metro access, and they're some of the most busy areas of Laval in particular. Lots of shops, restaurants, grocery stores, etc. So I'm going to focus on properties, condos under $500,000 with at least 900 square feet of living space, divided condominiums, minimum 2 bedrooms, everything except for basement and garden floor units, and same idea, $4,200 a year in condo fees for $350 a month maximum. If I go to the results, I look at what's active. Let's take a look at this one on Daniel Johnson. It's 1,105 square feet. It's a 2001 build. And let's take a look at the photos. Nice little back patio. Beautiful bathroom, it's been renovated. Good size office. Nice primary bedroom. Nice open floor plan, kitchen to dining room, leading out to the living room as well. It seems like they've changed the countertops on this unit. Solid unit. They're asking $490,000 for this unit. 1,100 square feet. Taxes are just under $2,800. Condo fees are at $230 a month. That's quite low. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Nice little unit set up over here. And let's see what else we have. Maybe at a lower price point. Let's go as far down as $425, 1984. So these are the 1980s buildings. You know what? Here's a 2003 on Le Carrefour. So $420,000. Condo fees at $304. 2 bedrooms, 1 plus 1 bathrooms. Early 2000s building, but in good shape. I mean, good dimensions. Definitely dated, but overall, I mean, clean. A fresh paint job would go a really long way. Just changing the colors, bringing it a little bit more neutral into the whites and the grays as opposed to the beiges that we were seeing back in the early 2000s. Super nice setup. And this is $420,000. Awesome. Okay. Now let's see what these units would rent for. So let's go back to our criteria. Let's bring it over here. Let's see if any of them are renting for, let's say, $2,000 a month or more. I'll remove my condo fee criteria. I got 35 options. Okay, let's take a look. So if I go into a partial display, 1986, this unit rented for $2,150. Let's sort these by rental price. Oh, some really high ones, but 2011. Sure, let's take a look at this one over here. 2011 construction. 1,063 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. This one has 2 garages. Okay, so that's going to be impactful. $2,750. All right, let's see what doesn't have 2 garages possibly. Okay, over here, $2,500 a month, 989 square feet, 1993. I mean, you're getting excellent rental value on these properties. Really nice floors on this property. Got some herringbone. They've painted the entire unit white. Good sized kitchen. So again, a lot of upside on these units. Rental value $2,500 for this. I mean, you're in pretty good position financially. 3 bedrooms, 2+1 baths. Wow. It's got 1 outdoor driveway space, so that's really good as well. So these are the types of opportunities that we can see in Laval, for example, where you're getting great rental values for properties that you can probably get for pretty low price comparatively. Now let's see what we're doing in terms of the revenue properties around here. Let's go to Laval, same idea, Chomedey Laval-des-Rapides. Let's look at triplexes and fourplexes, and let's say at least 2 bedrooms in the main. Sorted by price, there's 32 options. I mean, let's look at a mid-range here, $885. Double car garage, got a unit in the basement. 2 units upstairs are going to be quite spacious. 2 6.5s and a 3.5 exactly. Now this 6.5 is terribly rented at $860. As we've seen, that should probably be at least $2,200 ballpark. This other one's also terribly rented at $1,025. And then this one, okay, makes sense. Could probably be at least $800, $900, but nevertheless, it's a lot more in line with what we expect. Got garage, 2 driveway spots. Gives us a decent idea, but I'm looking at this at $885. I mean, the rental value on this should probably be closer to $5,500, almost $6,000, and that would make a huge difference in terms of the valuation for this unit. So that gives us an idea of what's possible around over here. Let's move on to the next neighborhood. Now let's head on over to the South Shore of Montreal, specifically Longueuil, the Vieux-Longueuil, and St-Hubert. So these are the areas I've selected. I'm looking at single family homes now. So now we're going to look at actual homes. We'll see what we have available. I've looked at properties that have at least 3 bedrooms above ground with 2 bathrooms under $600,000. So let's see what pops up. And let's look at this one on Joliette, $450,000. We've got a bungalow. It's detached. It was built in 1963. 3+1 bedrooms, 2+0 bathrooms, and we've got a garage in here. And I suspect this is going to be a bit of a blast from the past, but nevertheless, great value at $450,000. Yeah, so we've got old school carpets, a little bit of virtual staging to show us what the potential is of the property. An older hardwood kitchen, looks like it might be some linoleum flooring, nice brick walls already built into it. So definitely room obviously to upgrade this property, but we have a $450,000 price point here. If we were to invest maybe $100,000 into it, we could renovate the property entirely, and we'd be sitting on a pretty interesting asset on this property. So that gives you an idea of what's possible on the South Shore. Now let's go check out this one on Kensington. So this is now $589,000. There's no garage over here. We are looking at 3+1 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms as well. And this product, on the other hand, is completely renovated. So they've changed the floors. You have what looks to be a luxury vinyl plank over here. It's gonna be a good sized bathroom, dining room, kitchen. It's missing the fan cover over here. That should have been done before the photos. Oh well. The kitchen's got a little bit of a facelift. It seems like they maybe have changed the tiles, but they didn't do too much to the actual kitchen cabinets. Looks like there may have been an extension that was added to this property to give it a sunroom off of the pool. It's an in-ground pool. $589,000. Okay, floors here were renovated. The windows seem to have been upgraded as well, maybe in the 90s, maybe 2000s. Full basement, another nice feature over here. Great family room, playroom, etc. $589,000, solid property. It seems like, yeah, they haven't finished the ceiling in a couple different areas, but gives us a pretty good idea. Now let's see what happens if we were to try and rent the property here. If we wanted it to be, let's say, $2,500 a month or more. Same criteria. Let's see what has actually rented in the last little while. I'll go back to the previous 12-month period. 29 results. And let's sort them over here by price. So starting at $2,500, this is kind of the lower end, if you will. Normal home, no garage, renovated floors. Pretty good idea what we're working with here. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. Oh, there's an additional intergenerational space over here. 2 bedrooms in the basement plus an extra bathroom. Okay. This is newer. 1987 gives us a good reference point. Here, home with a garage. $2,600 was the rental price on this. This was probably renovated at some point in the 90s. Not all that much has been done to it. Ooh, blast from the past over here. This was $2,600. Okay, so let's see what some of maybe the higher end properties in these areas. I mean, we're going as high as almost $5,000 a month. Now, obviously, this is significantly more luxurious. But this 3,500 over here seems very attainable. Wouldn't take all that much to get one of the properties we looked at today into this range. 3,500 is a great rental value for a property like this. This is also newer. Let's take another look. 1993 construction. Maybe this 3,000. Yeah, $3,000 a month. A-frame, semi-detached, a lot smaller. Parquet floors, so kind of shows you what the rental value potential is for one of these properties. Now let's head on over and look at multiplexes like we've been doing. Same idea, I'm going to go to Montérégie, I'm going to go to Longueuil, to Vieux-Longueuil, St-Hubert. Again, let's focus on triplexes and fourplexes, residential only. Let's see what pops up right now. Pricing is probably going to be a bit sporadic all over the place, starting from $449,000, which seems super low. There's probably some problems with it, but let's take a look at something at $750, for example. $45,000 in revenue, $750 right now. Pretty big property. Older. Not a ton of renovations. The floors seem to be in pretty good shape. A nice amount of windows, guillotine style. Looking at Unit 3 now. This has a bit more renovations to it, but pretty serviceable. Let's look at some of these rents. So we've got two 5.5s and a 4.5. Okay, one of the 4.5s is vacant right now. They're saying it's worth $1,350. Probably get a bit more than that, but in that range. This is now 5.5. They're saying 901. So this is under rented. Obviously, there's a lot more meat on the bone here. You've got this 5.5 with 2 bedrooms. It's at $1,550. So it gives us an idea of what would be possible with a property like this. Let's see what else we have around here. Maybe one of the more expensive properties. $1 million gets us what? Triplex, $64,000. 1966 build. So this is more renovated, obviously. Look at that for the basement unit. Wow. Change the floors, change the doors, change the windows, light fixtures, pot lights, AC or heat pump that's wall mounted. Nice. Another renovated bathroom. No, they've put some love into this property. And as we look at this, $64,000 a year in revenue, they're saying, okay, one vacant for $1,800, vacant for $1,800, and this one's actually rented. So you've got 3 units that all have 3 bedrooms. One of them is rented, the other 2 are vacant. I personally don't have a problem with that because that means we're going to get to choose our tenants, for example. So we get to go in and put the tenants that we want into this property. And that's a pretty solid option. So we've seen what some of the rental potential is for some of these units. And I guess we'll just take a quick look on the condo side, because if you're renting a plex, it'll be almost like what we list, at least, as a condo. We're going to look for things that have 3 bedrooms or more that have rented for, let's see if we can actually cross that $2,000 price point. Let's see if anything pops up. 53 options, wow. On the higher end, okay, so these are going to be actual condos. This rented for $2,980. Nice little backyard. Interior is fine. Nice floors, high ceilings, very well maintained. Kitchen's been updated, nice. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1 driveway spot. Almost $3,000 in rent. So again, shows us how much potential there is in terms of renting out some of these properties. You buy a duplex, triplex, that's you renovate the kitchens, possibly clean up the floors. Renting for almost $3,000, I mean, means $2,500 should be pretty reasonable to go out and get. Let's see what maybe one of this 2,400 looks like. At 2,400, 1987 build, original flooring, kitchen looks dated. Large, 1,500 square feet, almost 1,600 actually. But still, this gives us a really good idea of what's possible with these different neighborhoods and why I see there's so much value and why people are actually searching for these areas right now. And if you have a decent time horizon, I always say at least 5 years whenever you're looking to purchase a property, then underwrite the deal. And if everything makes sense, let's take that leap of faith. Let's jump right into it. If you need help underwriting a deal, reach out to me. It would be my pleasure to look at them with you. You can even hire us, obviously, as your realtors. We'd be more than happy to go out, visit properties, and guide you throughout the entire process. But even if you just want an outside opinion, send me an email, send me a message, book a meeting with me. I'd happy to spend 15 minutes with you and underwrite any deal that you're currently looking at, so you get the pros and cons as to why I think it makes sense or doesn't make sense. Again, that link is in the description down below. You can book a 15-minute discovery call with me and we can go from there. I hope you found this as useful as I did and as much as I enjoyed doing it. If you want me to break down any specific neighborhood for you, it would be my pleasure. Just put a comment down below with the neighborhood that you're looking for me to break down. As always, we put out the best real estate content every single week for you on our YouTube channel, as well as all the other platforms. So without further ado, I look forward to catching you on the next one.